can't fit all the tenants who are being evicted in front of this Christmas tree because there's too many. That says it all. There's too many tenants being evicted to fit in front of the Christmas tree. How's that for a statement about what's happening in San Francisco right now?
My friend, I was just taking
Merry Christmas, now get the hell out.
Take a picture of that sign, sorry.
This is a good moment probably to get started. So can I have everybody's attention?
Sorry, that's right.
So, my name is Tony Albacoli Macro. I'm with the Housing Rights Committee. Housing Rights Committee.
Yay!
And we are here today because there's an epidemic of evictions happening in San Francisco. An epidemic of evictions, as you can see from the number of tenants standing in front of the Christmas tree. They're mostly Ellis Act evictions, but some are owner move-in. The evictions are motivated by greed. Landlord and speculators wanting to make a ton of dough selling units as tenancies in common, TICs. In fact, we are here today in the Castro because the supervisor of the Castro district has...
Boo! Boo!
How do you really feel about him?
Boo!
Okay, so the supervisor of the Castro has introduced legislation to allow up to 2,000 TICs to bypass our lottery process and condo convert. That means more evictions, folks. That means more incentive for landlords and speculators to evict more tenants like these folks. Okay? That's our message to Scott Wiener. This is what happens when you allow them to condo convert.
Scott Wiener doesn't govern.
Right now, we have been able to track 26 buildings. John, can you step aside for a moment? 26 buildings here that are being Ellis Acted. 26 buildings. And this is a very partial list. These are the buildings representing tenants that have come into one of our offices for counseling. It is by no means a complete list. But if you notice, there are 17 buildings in the Mission. In the Mission. How do you spell gentrification and displacement?
Scott Wiener.
Thank you. The tenants in these buildings are long-term tenants. They're long-term rent-controlled tenants. They're mostly seniors, people with AIDS, immigrants, disabled persons, families with children, people with nowhere to go in this immorally high rental market. We are now the highest rental market in the country. We call on supervisors to reject Scott Wiener's TIC legislation. We call on our state officials to repeal the Ellis Act.
Yeah!
And we call on our local officials, including the mayor, to work with our state officials to repeal the Ellis Act. That's what we want. In short, we want this epidemic. We want this epidemic of evictions treated as a health crisis, because it is. It's a health emergency. Because, let me tell you, seniors, people with AIDS, immigrants, vulnerable people do not fare well when they are evicted. It affects their health. It is a health crisis. So let's send back a message to everybody in this city. Happy holidays. We're not going away. We're staying to fight for our homes, to fight for our neighborhoods, to fight for our city. And now I want to introduce Lucia Kimball from Causa Justa, Just Cause.
Thank you so much. How's everybody doing today?
Yay!
You know, for a lot of us, the holidays represents a time of caring, a time of warmth, a time of new hopes for a new year, right? But that is not the case for a lot of our fellow community members that are here today that are facing a pretty cold eviction process very soon. Are we going to let these evictions continue?
No!
Are we going to let speculators continue to tear our communities apart?
No!
Are we going to continue to allow that profits be placed over people's lives?
No!
If you care about these community members and you want an end to these evictions, please say, hey, hey, ho, ho. Ellis Act has got to go. Say, hey, ho, ho.
The Ellis Act has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. Ellis Act has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. Ellis Act has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. Ellis Act has got to go. Hey, hey.
Right on. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here today. We want to allow some of the tenants to share their stories, and we're going to start with the folks in the Castro.
Okay, so let me call him Jeremy. He's standing right here. Jeremy?
Good afternoon. My name is Jeremy Michaels, and I'm a 62-year-old gay man. Almost 12 years ago, I was diagnosed with full-blown AIDS and a practically non-existent immune system. Since then, I've dealt with numerous AIDS-related health problems, from pneumocystis pneumonia to chronic fatigue to severe neuropathy in my feet, among others. With the help of knowledgeable doctors, my immune system has improved a lot, although many problems remain. All in all, I consider myself a survivor, since 95% of my friends did not survive and are no longer a part of the Castro community, where most of them lived and most of them died. Now I'm dealing with a new threat to my survival. The fact that I'm undergoing an eviction from my home of 17 and a half years and from my Castro neighborhood in the city of San Francisco of 37 years. This past March, while I was in the hospital recovering from a fractured foot, my building at 460 Noe Street was sold to new owners, a partnership made up of 3 real estate speculators, Mr. John H. Du, Mr. William H. Young, and Mr. Kwang Mai, who subsequently formed an ownership limited liability corporation, 460 Noe Group LLC, based in Union City. Soon afterwards, they and their lawyer began a campaign to get me to accept a buyout offer to move out. Several times threatening to invoke the Ellis Act by going out of the rental business and evicting all the units if I did not accept such an offer. When I refused, they did just that, and I've since received an eviction notice. No matter that under San Francisco's rent control laws, as a senior as well as a disabled person living in a rent-controlled apartment for longer than 10 years, I am considered a protected tenant who can't be evicted for just cause in most all other cases. This tactic of real estate speculators using the Ellis Act to get rid of long-term senior and/or disabled residents under rent control is on the rise now that the San Francisco real estate market is once again picking up due to the improving economy. Far too many times, just the threat of using the Ellis Act has scared tenants enough to accept low buyout offers to get them to move. While I am technically a victim of this tactic, along with many others, some of whom are with us today, I do not like to think of myself as a victim, which is why I am also here, to speak out. You're here. That's not to say that I'm not fearful for my future. I am. If my eviction goes through, and because I've been living on a fixed income, there's no way that I will be able to afford a comparable one-bedroom apartment in San Francisco, let alone in my own neighborhood, the Castro, with rents 2 to 3 times what I'm paying now under rent control. So I may well be forced out of the city and the neighborhood that I love, and where I've lived most of my adult life. And if that is the case, I will also no longer have access to some of the best doctors equipped to deal with all my AIDS-related health problems, and who have helped me to survive up to this point. And I don't really think I will be able to find that quality of health support in any other city that I will have to move to. And I worry about that a lot. I would like to ask my Castro neighbors and fellow citizens of San Francisco if they really believe that it is right that seniors or disabled people should be forced out of their homes of 10, 15, 25 years or more just so some real estate speculators can make a windfall profit at their expense.
Hell no.
I believe we all deserve better than that.
Yeah.
We all deserve to be treated fairly.
Represented.
After all, isn't that the spirit behind instituting rent control in San Francisco to begin with?
Yeah.
So I call on all our city supervisors and our state representatives to act to help guard our senior and disabled tenants from Ellis eviction abuse, and urge you to check out our website at www.ellishurtseniors.org for ways that you can help. One of which is to boycott the sale of properties where senior or disabled tenants have been evicted under the Ellis Act. I will soon be providing a boycott list of such properties on the website. Of course, legislation on the state level is still our best recourse, but in lieu of that, legislation on the city and county level can still potentially further limit Ellis abuse. However, easing current laws by allowing for more tenancies and commons to convert to condominiums, as proposed by my own supervisor, Scott Wiener, I and many others believe would have the exact opposite effect and only encourage even more Ellis evictions in the city. Therefore, I strongly urge you not to support this proposed legislation. Finally, I'd like to add, if you have gone through an Ellis eviction and would like to share your experience online, you can contact me through the website. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Let's hear it for Jeremy.
Yay, Jeremy.
I'm going to bring on some folks who live in the Haight area. Lisa, Allison, and
Hello?
tenants from the building on Divisadero.
I can't talk right
and
now.
then, Lucia, I'm thinking then we should have a mission first. We should go back and forth, and then at Chinatown first. So we can, okay, I don't know who's going to do this.
Hi, how you doing? This predicament that all of us are in here is not just for the seniors, disabled, and children, and families, and immigrants. It is a business plan. The Ellis Act has turned into a business plan. And this means anyone who rents in San Francisco, anyone who has been here for over 10 years, anyone who has been born here and their family has a rental apartment here in San Francisco will expect to get an Ellis Act for Christmas. One day, if we allow this to happen, we can't allow people to push out those who seem like they're defenseless, because obviously we're not. Look at all the people here. Look at all the differences of all the different kinds of people here and all the different neighborhoods that are represented. We can't allow people just to push you out of your home. You deserve a home. If you are alive and you are breathing, you are worthy of everything that comes to you your way. We all work. We all try to pay our bills. We all try to survive in earthquake country. And we've done it. Can we unify together to make sure that this does not happen to each and every person in San Francisco who rents?
Yes. Yes.
Let's do it.
Yes.
So here's our story.
What's your name?
I'm James Thornton. Our family has been in the Haight and Divisadero area for 18 years. We love our neighborhood. Our building was purchased 4 years ago by Bonnie Spindler, and we knew there was a clock ticking. Bonnie Spindler is a speculator. She flips buildings for profit. Remember this, she flips buildings for profit. For profit. So we've been there 18 years paying our bills, and we have a rent-controlled building. So she is not making any money off of us. This is the San Francisco way. If you get a great rent-controlled building, the way they can get you out is with the Ellis Act. And they can get you out within 6 months or within a year, depending on your scenario or situation. So we're dealing with this issue, and we believe this is unfair. The benefits of having rent control should be gainful housing. So we're dealing with the Ellis Act. It's a matter of fact. It can happen to you. If you have a rent control building, it's a matter of time. And here's my sister who lives upstairs from me, and she's been there 18 years also.
And they put us in SRO, Section 8.
Hello, I'm Lisa Thornton, and I have been working in San Francisco for 18 years. I work at Rainbow Grocery Cooperative.
All right.
And what's happening is a lot of people that I work with are going through similar situations where this store that we operate and own, a majority of us are being forced out of our homes and are commuting from the East Bay. And you know, it's a terrible thing. This is my niece who's 2 years old, and she's here doesn't know what's going on, but here she is being faced with this Ellis Act, and it's just a shame that, you know, all these people, you know, we are San Francisco, and San Francisco is changing, and it's becoming home for the rich and the wealthy, and we're being pushed aside, and things need to change. We really need to go to the state legislator, and we need to change things because it's not right. Thank you.
Right.
Right.
We have a couple tenants. As Tommy said, there's 17 buildings in the Mission alone. The Mission accounts for about 20-25% of the Ellis Acts that are recorded through the rent board this year alone. And we have a couple tenants that want to share their stories. I present to you Morningstar Vancil, who lives over in Valencia.
Okay. Hi, my name is Morningstar Vancil. I am a disabled veteran. Is this what the veterans are fighting for this country?
No!
I have lived in my home in the Mission almost 32 years ago. I was taking care of a queer woman who happened to have AIDS. When she passed away, I was grandfathered into that apartment. 4 years ago, a resident was moved below me and offered my landlord more money than I could afford. I did my best to protect myself. The city said that my apartment is illegal.
Oh.
Now they're using Ellis Act against me. I went to severe harassment that it almost cost me my life. I had a stroke, and I ended up in the hospital. The landlord wanted to evict me for one reason. His name is Sam Q. Pons. He owns 3 buildings, about almost 30 apartments. And when they offered him more money, he told me right in front of me, if you're planning to move, you're going to do me a favor by moving out.
Right in your mouth.
Yeah. I'm a registered nurse, and I've worked in this town for 35 years, looking after the sick in many hospitals and in the homes. And I retired about 4 years ago, and my retirement present was cancer, and I got over that. And now I'm in remission, and this year received for Christmas an eviction.
Oh.
And I got to tell you that I'm really ticked off about it. Talk about ticks. I'm ticked off about it. I really feel that it's a kick in the face to someone who's served the community all these years.
That's right.
I never made a lot of money as a nurse until the last maybe 10 years of my career. Now nurses are doing all right. But for many, many years, nurses in this town, they were not able to buy property. We were renters. And now this scourge of a person wants to evict everyone in my building. My husband and I have there 30 years. Most of the people have been there 40 and 45 years. Just for profit. It is really, to me, a violent act.
Yes.
We've been hearing a lot about violence lately, and domestic violence especially. This is a violent domestic act perpetrated against all of us.
That's right. That's wrong.
Yeah, where is that stick? He's my supervisor too, and he spent most of his time worrying about whether somebody could sit down with a bare bum on a park bench and whether he should put something under his bare bum. That's what he's been spending a lot of his time on, instead of helping people like you and I.
He's no Harvey Milk!
So, anyway, that's my story, and I gotta say, we have to fight, because I look around me and I see, these are the San Francisco people. Yeah!
We're the fun people.
For people who don't even work in this town. You're in those big buses with black windows that go way down the peninsula. I don't know what they do.
Yeah.
They make six figures, and we are going to provide housing for them.
They're killing us.
The workers of this
Killers.
town can go live in Haywood in a trailer. Well, I say the heck with that. Thanks, everybody, and Merry Christmas.
Stop terrorism in San Francisco!
That's right.
So is Robert here? No. Okay. We have one other tenant.
We have another tenant actually from the Sunset that's joining us. Katie Azai.
My address is 1426 18th Avenue, Sunset District. I lived there for over 20 years.
It's got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! LSAC has got to go!
Turns out she's being evicted in the Richmond, another neighborhood. So as you can see, this is all over the city. Betrayal Hill! Stop the murder! In the lawn! In the lawn! Real quick.
I just want to say, you know, I can afford my rent and I can afford to go up, but I have pets, and you can't get housing with pets, even though this is supposedly a pet-friendly city.
Yeah.
It's impossible. Maybe 7 or 8 on Craigslist every day, and they're all over 1,500.
That's horrible.
My name is Brian Basier. I'm the Executive Director of the AIDS Housing Alliance here in San Francisco.
Yay.
The AIDS Housing Alliance was founded 9 years ago when I got Ellis Act evicted from the home that I spent 40% of my life in and where I buried 32 friends during the AIDS epidemic. I still have dreams. As much as this week I dream of my old home. I was so pissed and so angry, just like everybody here, but I had to turn it out. I could not turn that anger in on myself. I had to turn it out, and I created the AIDS Housing Alliance because of it. So the AIDS Housing Alliance is my 9-year temper tantrum and my effort at revenge against those damn speculators who kicked me out of my home.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to stop until the day I'm in my grave. And we all can take that same energy. Don't be powerless. Don't let them run over you. Don't be nice. Fight back.
That's right!
When we fight, we win.
That's
The
right!
AIDS Housing Alliance, you know, wasn't able to save my home, but we've been able to save the homes of hundreds of people since then. And so that's some small way of turning it around and making the world a better place and making it a safe place. And we can all do that. Each and every one of us can reach inside and create something and fight back against these people, because the only way that they win is to divide us and conquer us. There's more of us than them. There's more of us than them. The only thing that makes us not win is by not being organized and not recognizing our power and not using it. Use your power. Stand up. Fight back.
In our community has been living on his home on Cap Street for over 30 years and is now facing an LSAC today. He shares the apartment with a few other tenants, 2 of which are a father and a daughter who is going to school right now in San Francisco. She's in high school. It's her last year of high school. And they've been living in the unit for the last 12 years now. When these folks reached out for help to fight their Ellis Act eviction, they were told that they didn't stand a chance, not even for an extension. Why? Because their unit is registered as a single-family home and is exempted from any additional protections, none, despite the fact that there's a senior with a long-term illness who's been living there for over 30 years and a minor who's in school right now finishing her last year with aspirations to go to college. These folks had 2 huge reasons to fight the Ellis Act. That's right. Because of this exemption, they're going to be forced out of their home and very soon. And despite their best resolve to fight, I hope Mr. Gomez is here today with his granddaughter, but despite their efforts to fight this Ellis Act, this eviction, this exemption actually is going to prevent them from even getting some more time. And none of them want to leave. This case illustrates one of the loopholes in the state and local protections, the fact that single-family homes is exempt from additional protections that would otherwise be offered to seniors and for minors. It's exactly why in San Francisco we need to stand up and we need to be an example for the rest of the state that we need stronger protections for the most vulnerable of our tenants. So I called out for state and local officials to repeal the Ellis Act. And in the meantime, please close these loopholes. It's ridiculous.
My mother was her caregiver. She passed away in this house. It has a lot of sentimental meaning. It's my home. It's been my home. And I don't want to leave, but unfortunately, my landlord, who bought the building 7 years ago, wants to see me out. I also am disabled, and he doesn't care.
Middle of a second .com bus here. In fact, while someone was speaking, I noticed a Google bus stopped here at the bus stop, because we have like thousands and thousands of high-tech workers being shipped from San Francisco down to Silicon Valley every day, not to mention all the workers in Twitter and all the other companies in San Francisco making lots and lots of money. In fact, their interns, their college interns, make on average $65,000 a year. So these are people with a lot of money, and they've been driving up rents, and now they're beginning to drive up evictions as they're buying apartments out from under us. Since 2011, 2 years ago, Ellis evictions have more than tripled. Since last year, they've more than doubled. And that is not including the ones that don't get filed at the rent board, not including the threats and the buyouts, which are even many, many more. And so that's thousands of San Franciscans, mostly long-term tenants. Seniors are all being kicked out of their homes so that wealthy people can buy them as condominium-type units. And as people have said, what Scott Wiener is proposing to do will just make this worse and drive more and more people onto the streets. So when that legislation comes up next month, we need to make sure we stop it so that we stop the evictions. Because we fought off the last .com boom, and we have to fight off this one too if we want San Francisco to remain our city. Thank you.
Okay, so we're wrapping up. Thank you all so much for being here. We're going to need you to be here in January when there's a hearing on Scott's legislation. We need you to commit to coming to the Board of Supervisors hearing and telling your stories and telling the supervisors that if they pass that legislation, more people, more than this, more people are going to be evicted, okay? And are we going to stand for more people being evicted? No! Are we going to stand for anybody being evicted? No! So do you promise you'll come to the board next month and tell the supervisors that?
Hell yeah!
You promise me?